Yo, welcome, lords and ladies of the realm, to the kingdom. It's your boy, E the Prince. Today, we're going to talk about my experiences with near death experience and an out of body experience. Sorry, hopefully, I won't be clearing my throat. Everybody in the house is a little under the weather, as they say. So, let's start off with the out of body experience. I had this when I was a child, where my neighbor, they had a great big tree, and they had a 2-story house. I mean, this tree was as tall as the house, and it was a perfect climbing tree. We used to climb that thing and hang out in it, see how far we could go up, and we spent a lot of time in that tree. On this particular day, I was up in the tree, and my neighbor's grandfather he was over visiting, and he had a pickup truck. And the pickup truck, let's say this is the tree, pickup truck is, right here, right on the curb. And this is an odd experience because I remember looking down and seeing the edge of the tree, or excuse me, the edge of the truck, where the bed of the truck is. I don't remember losing my footing. I don't remember slipping. No one pushed me or pulled me or nothing like that. But I remember falling and looking at it, and it was like slow motion, where I remember, and I mean, I was maybe, let's call it 5 to 8 years old, somewhere in that range, 4 to 7, maybe, something like that. And I remember looking down, and it was just slow motion. And I remember, which is kind of an odd thought, I guess, for a kid, maybe not, but I remember just looking and thinking, this is not good. I'm going to hit, like I said, where this tree is, right? And then there was a little strip of grass, and then the sidewalk, and then the yard. Well, on the other side is the little curb, and his truck's parked there. And where I was mainly over the grass, really. Excuse me. And I remember looking down and being right over the side wall of the bed of his truck, and just thinking, like, that's not good. Like, that's really not good. And I remember thinking, like, my back is, like, this ain't good. Well, somebody was watching over me that day, and somehow, which again, with where I was in the tree, how I slipped, how I fell, I should have hit the edge of that truck, or more, really probably a little bit of the truck and then the ground. Fortunate enough for me, I landed in the very back of the truck. I mean, on my back, which again, I guess I flipped or turned in the air or something, because I remember looking down and just thinking, like, oof, this is not good. I hit that thing, and I mean, talk about knock the wind out of you. And I remember the other kids kind of being like, whoa, whoa, whoa. There was no parents out or nothing. This was next door to my house. When I hit that thing, I remember just trying to run to my house. But the thing is, in my memory of it, I was following myself. And I remember watching myself from probably 4 or 5 feet back, and I could still see the outline of, I could see everything, the neighborhood and all the stuff. And I watched myself run into the house. And that was the last I remember of it. And it's funny because in my, a few years ago, I had asked my parents, do you remember that? Because I have a lot of back issues. And It's hard for me to sit up straight for a long time, all that kind of stuff. And as far as I know, like, I don't have any condition or whatever with my back, but I asked them, do you remember me? Because I mean, me and my neighbor had talked about it before. They remember it. My parents are like, I don't remember that. I don't know what you're talking about. So I never went to the hospital or anything. I don't remember getting back into my body or anything like that. But I specifically remember the slow motion falling. And then after I hit, watching myself run into my house. So anybody else out there got a out of body experience, I would love to hear it. Now, the next one I'll call a near death experience or a death experience. It was in my teenage years. And in my teenage years, I smoked a lot of weed, drank, did a few different drugs, mushrooms, acid. And there was one specific drug that it was actually an over the counter medicine. And I had seen that if you take a certain amount of these, we called it back then robo tripping. And these were pills. And if you took X amount of number, which I mean is a lot as far as a dosage goes, but it was an obscene amount. And we used to go and get these, and it started off, ate a few of them, tripped, maybe ate 4 more next time. And I was at a place where I was just always looking for something. I was kind of a wild kid. Some would say I'm like, I was just straight up, nutty. And then at the same time, I knew people way crazier than me. So I was somewhere in between, I guess. But this time I had eaten 38 of these pills. 38. And we had actually just had, when I was in high school, it seemed like at least once a year, a kid or a group of kids died racing cars or drunk driving, wrapping them into a tree or whatever. And this was shortly after a kid that I went to high school with, he passed away in a car accident. And I had eaten all these pills. And again, mind you, the number was, they said if you ate 8 of them. And I worked my way up to 38 of them. And I remember that because it was almost 40, which is just insane. Like, don't do that. Don't do drugs. So I was in a car with 2 other people. We had a driver. I guess it was 4 other people because there was 2 of us in the back and 2 in the front. And there's this chick next to me, and she's talking about, it was a few months after, I guess, this kid had passed away in this car accident. And his mom, I don't remember the guy's name, but there was a guy on TV at the time. He had kind of like a stadium setup with chairs, and he would go in and like channel your dead mom or relative or your neighbor's cat or whatever, right? And he would go, I'm talking to so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. And this girl was friends, I guess, with the mom and was recounting her experience of going and seeing this guy. And when she was talking, I guess, about just death and stuff, for lack of a better word, I mean, I popped out of my body. I was in the back of the car. I was over myself, but everything was black around me. I couldn't see this girl anymore. I couldn't see the driver and the other passenger. I couldn't see the car. I could see my body as if it were sitting in an invisible chair or seat. and I was just slumped over. And when I first saw it, I mean, it was like a tsunami of emotion was going to crash down on me. I was, and it was a huge wave that built up. And then it was almost just as quick. It's like, it just, this tsunami wave that's 100 feet tall just vanished or turned into a wall of butterflies and they all fluttered away or something. It was just immediately gone. I mean, the horror, the terror, the anxiety that built up in this wave was astounding. I've never felt anything like that in my life since. And then literally, I looked at my body and thought, this was my thought, huh? And I just stared for a second and I was thinking, wow, huh. Well, about that time, I guess, and I had spoke with this girl a few times. Every time I would see her afterwards at a party or out somewhere, she would bring it up. And I mean, when I came to, she was shaking me. And I don't know if that's what popped me back into my body or what it was, but she was shaking me. And I mean, she was looking at me like, she was like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, I don't know. I saw my body. And she goes, "You look dead. Like, I thought you were dead. Like, I thought you were dead next to me in the back of this car." And, it always used to embarrass me because, like I said, every time I'd see her, "Remember that time I thought you died in the back of the car and this and that?" And, finally it was one of them things where it was just, yeah. And we'd talk about it. And I was like, I'd tell my whole experience or whatever. But I think I died that night. And that sent me on a search, I guess, for, because right then when I knew that happened, I know that there's something after death. I no longer fear death. I know a lot of people which understandably fear death. And as far as I'm concerned, I died in this life. I was able to be brought back by the grace of God or whatever you want to call it. Who knows? And really, what I think that was is there's another layer of the story where, I went home. This was an intense drug. This is probably one of the craziest drugs I've ever done in my life. And I've done a handful of them. But I remember specifically, and this is what people call spirit or God or the universe or whatever name you want to put on it, going, "Listen up, dipshit." It was the next day. I was standing in my kitchen, and how the kitchen kind of worked, there was a little like seating area right next to the kitchen, and there was a TV up on the wall. And I remember a news story coming on, and it said, and I believe I live in Missouri, close to the Illinois border. And I believe this girl was from Illinois. I didn't know her. She wasn't in my friend group. And I'm sure she was a real person living in a real experience. But as far as, and this wasn't a big known thing, you know what I mean? My clique of friends knew about it and did it, but not a lot of people really did this or knew about it as far as I know. And it said on there, I was making a sandwich or something and I heard it. Girl overdoses and dies after eating 8 of these pills. And I remember just looking over and thinking, wow, I just ate 38 of them. And I mean, I essentially died, popped out of my body for sure. The girl next to me was like, I thought you were dead. Like, you looked dead. You weren't breathing. You weren't responding. You looked dead. So that was a wake up call from the universe for me. And I never ate them again after that, which, you know, some people may, some people might not, whatever. I'm one that when I get messages like that, I don't look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say, or whatever. You know, that was definitely, in my view, spirit or God looking at me and going, knock it off now. Knock it off, you hear? So I didn't play around with that anymore. And it's good that that experience happened. One, because it's helped me in life. Just it's sent me on a whole nother path with spirituality, trying to find the answers to life that everybody asks. But then also, like I said, I started off with 8, and then it was probably like 10 or 12, and then 16. And then it just every time it got more and more and more and more and more and more, which that's how a lot of people I knew, not a lot, but some, I had some people around me that just did wild stuff with like acid and stuff, even where it was like, oh, you know, let's take a hit of acid or two. I knew people would eat 10 strips and multiples of them, just wild stuff. You know what I mean? So that was definitely a wake up call for me. But yeah, if you have a near death experience that you'd like to share, throw it down in the comment. Let me know. What's your experience with this plane of existence or the one beyond? And yeah, I'll tell you, after that, I looked and I read a book from Robert Monroe, the Monroe Institute. They did some work with the CIA, and what do they call it? The Gateway Experience. And I tried for a long time. I've fasted for 7 days. I've tried to pop myself out of my body again multiple times, just not using crazy drugs to do it. You know what I mean? Because in my view, I died. That chick said I died, or she was like, it appeared that you died. You weren't breathing, you weren't moving. And then, like I said, to see the newsreel the next day and have it say this girl ate 8 of them and died. Keep playing around is the message that I got. So anyhow, yeah, let me know your experiences, out of body experiences. What do they call that? Where your sleep paralysis. Anybody had a sleep paralysis, near death experiences, any of that stuff? Let me know. And also, I wanted to say, since I'm wearing it, we got the Dawn of a New Day shirt with the people see me doing this all the time. This is one of them things that in my day, everybody was always chucking deuces. I was always throwing it up like this. And again, now in my older days, this is what you call a mudra. There's a lot of these mudras, different hand symbols and signs. It comes from the Hindu and Buddhist traditions and stuff. That one specifically it's got a couple different names that I've come across. This one's Pali Mudra, and it's to enhance spiritual energy, support spinal health, which again I think is funny after falling out of the tree and landing in the back of the truck. Let's see, and balance digestive processes, and let's see, deepening embodiment and maintaining a sense of protection and balance. And these 2 fingers They go to the different chakras. This chakra is, let's see, is earth, and the thumb would be fire. And I've heard it say it balances the earth energy out and reduces the fire and all different kind of stuff. But we got your northern star. We got the sun up there, the pyramids, little pyramid on the bottom, as above, so below. And we got the mudra. So if you want to, if you think it's a cool design, want to support me, help me out, I'd appreciate it. It's on, I got a little store on eBay. I don't have my own website or anything, but my eBay address is Seer, SEER underscore 333. And, you know, I have a little shop on there. I sell all kinds of little stuff that I've come across from like storage auctions and that kind of stuff. But if you scroll all the way down, it's got a few products that I've designed, which, it's got, I got 2 hoodies on there that's called Peace Up, which is obviously this symbol with the circle around it. I'm going to do a video on that. I think the peace sign has been inverted a long time ago. This is a rune, and I can't remember the name offhand, but when it goes up, it means life. And when it's pointing down, it means death. So to me, I think we're all, we've been brainwashed a long time ago to walk around saying, Pete, why do you do it like this? Anyways, you know, why are you walking around like this? But then if you draw it down. Peace up, A-Town, that deal. But I think we've all been brainwashed a long time ago. And even when you're out there protesting, saying we want peace, you're carrying the banner for war and death. So if you want, go check it out on eBay. If not, I appreciate you anyway. I'm trying to get a few subscribers up to 50. I want to do some live streams, but YouTube won't let me do it on my phone unless you got 50 subs. So I think we're at 10 or something like that. But if you guys are enjoying the content and whatever, you know, send it to people, like it, all that kind of stuff, comment. I appreciate it. If not, I appreciate you either way. You know what I mean? But yeah, E the Prince. Welcome to the realm. We'll see you next time.